Hello everyone, welcome to the Big League Soccer World Cup edition. My name is Suniko, your regular anchor. With me in the studio are Julius Ojagbase.
Hi fellows.
Okay, and Kozim Elegbede. Thank you for joining us as well.
It's a pleasure to be here, guys.
Fantastic World Cup we've been witnessing so far, and the second round has really taken it up a notch. Fantastic games have been played already. Let's start with the results. Brazil playing a 1-1 draw with Chile in regulation time, ended 3-2 on penalties, followed by Colombia defeating Uruguay 2-0, and that game had one name written all over it, James Rodriguez. There's the Netherlands defeating Mexico 2-1, a debatable penalty by the Netherlands late in that game. We'll talk about that much later. And Costa Rica playing out a 1-1 draw with Greece and ending it 5-3 on penalties. So let's start with the Brazil-Chile game. Gentlemen, Brazil seem to be clinging on by their fingernails. And some have argued that maybe it's still a good thing that it's still in the competition, because if Brazil go out, then the riots and protests and everything that we've seen might come back. But you have to admit, they struggled tremendously against a team some people believe is probably the best South American team at the World Cup. Let me start with you, Kazim.
Yes, Brazil, we know they've been struggling from the World Goal. Against Croatia, the opening match of the tournament, they had the helping from referee to win that match. The results thoroughly flattered them, and they couldn't beat Mexico. Of course, any team, any of the other 31 teams at the World Cup today could have beaten Cameroon. So beating Cameroon was not a big deal, and Chile really exposed them. Maybe the history played a part. The fact that they were also hosting the fans and everything, because at a point you could see Brazil were just hanging on, and Chile, if they had dared a little bit, they could have won that match. Even regulation time, extra time, last kick of the match, Chile hit the goalpost. That could have been all over for Brazil.
Well, Julius, some said that the only reason Brazil won that game was because of the fact that they were playing at home. If they had been playing somewhere else on the neutral ground, that Chile would have taken them out. Do you think that maybe the Brazilian fans were probably their saving grace on the day?
Well, we could say that because they had all the country behind them and they were really getting them to win that game. But having said that, I think another reason is the fact that it's a lot comes to play. Because like he said, the last kick of that game, the Chilean, they hit the crossbar, which could have gone anywhere, and that could have been it for them. Yes, it is the factor that they have the country really supporting them to win. But it is still good for the game for them to be in the World Cup.
Let me stay
for the tournament.
Yeah, let me stay with you. Let me stay with you, Julius. You look at this Brazilian team, and if without Neymar, they seem to be struggling tremendously for goals, and you wonder how they can make it all the way to the final if Neymar is injured and they have to rely on Joe and Fred to take them there.
And to tell you the truth, I have seen Brazilian teams coming to the World Cup, and each time they come to the World Cup, there are names that we could name when we go to the World Cup that we know they will create magic for the team. But this particular one, I don't know, they are still wearing the yellow and the badge there says Brazil, but there's nothing Brazilian about them. And like you said, if Neymar is not playing, they are actually not playing. And they really struggle if he doesn't come to the party. If you watch the game, as if he got a knock at one point, there was even a fear maybe he was going to go out, but he kept at it. Maybe they left him there because of the fear factor. He would have been pulled out of that game. And if Neymar is not playing, this Brazil, they are not playing.
Let me come to you, Kazim. You've severely criticized the Brazilian goalkeeper Julio Cesar, but he came up trumps for them in this penalty shootout. Do you want to revise what you said about him? Because I think he made some really good steps during the game, and he came up tops in the penalty shootout.
I don't remember him making many good saves during the game, but there's no doubt about it. He was the hero during the shootout. Yes, keepers do come out during shootouts. Some keepers do. It doesn't make you a super extraordinary goalkeeper. We're talking about open play. This is a goalkeeper who has not played top flight football for how many years? Playing in Canada, for example. That's not the best league in the world. And if he's keeping for Brazil, just like a Joe or a Fred will be leading Brazil's attack. People complain that this team will not play without Neymar. But I'm not surprised. That has been the hallmark of a certain coach called Luis Felipe Scolari. He's a pragmatic coach. Yes, he won the World Cup in 2002, but that 2002 team had 3 R's: Rivaldo, Ronaldo, and Ronaldinho. Everything you need in a team. A striker of the best striker in the world at the time in Ronaldo, the best midfielder, the best creator in the world in Ronaldinho, and Rivaldo, who any team will want in. So those three were the ones who won the World Cup in 2002, and that is why Scolari was not exposed. Now we're seeing Scolari's Brazil, where a Fred, honestly, I'm not surprised that he's not anywhere in Europe, because you look at that striker, you ask yourself, is this actually a striker?
Well, the second game was between Colombia and Uruguay. Very interesting game. Let me come to you, Julius. The fact that Uruguay lost that game is not even the issue, but some are arguing that Uruguay lost because they did not have a Luis Suarez. Is this a credible argument?
Well, they could argue that because with a Suarez in that side, they offer them something different in attack. With a Cavani, I don't know really. This is a player that was bought with so much money, and I wonder, he has not really showed anything classy about him in this tournament. Imagine when they played against the England, if Suarez wasn't there, you could have said again the Uruguay team would have gone out. But Suarez was there, gave them 2 goals to make them qualify. So I think they missed Suarez in that game. They missed him in that game.
Interestingly, the 2 games he played were the ones they didn't lose. They won 1 and drew 1. The 2 games they didn't play, they lost almost scandalously. 3-1 and 2-0. Against opponents on a good day, you will expect Uruguay to defeat.
Well, but let's come to Colombia now. This Colombia possessed a player in the ranks that some have said is probably the star of this competition. 22-year-old James Rodriguez plays for Monaco in the French Championnat. How many assists? I think it's 3 assists, but 5 goals. Currently the tournament top scorer. He has been absolutely phenomenal, and his goal for the first goal in that game against Uruguay has been arguably described as probably the goal of the tournament. But have you been impressed by this young man?
I have been tremendously impressed.
Or do you think he's just hype?
No, it's not. I mean, you don't score 5 goals in 4 World Cup matches and you say it's a hype. No way. And then the first goal he scored against Uruguay, I mean, you could watch it again and again and again. But for me, the best goal so far in this tournament remains Robin van Persie's first goal equalizer against Spain. But we can't take anything away from Rodriguez. At Monaco, he emerged as the best assist specialist in the European top 5 leagues. Yeah. So nobody expected him to come to the World Cup and start scoring, maybe making assists for his teammates. But in the absence of Falcao, he has taken the gap. I mean, he would just steal into that position because no focus. Nobody was focusing on him. People were looking for, okay, who will be the leader of this team with Falcao injured out of the tournament? Who will be the leader? And Rodriguez has slotted in perfectly. For that, for me, he has been the star of the show. Yes, Messi is pulling his weight for Argentina, Neymar for Brazil, Müller for Germany, and only God knows how it's going to end. But so far, Rodriguez, deserves all the credit.
Okay, gentlemen, we have now seen an interesting quarter-final pairing. We've seen 2 all South American second-round games. We'll now see another South American quarter-final pairing. It is Brazil against Colombia. Let me ask for your thoughts. Who goes through this one? Starting with you, Julius.
You mean the Brazilian and Colombia?
Yes, exactly.
Well, to be honest, something tells me Colombia will go through. But again, another thing we say. Yes, another thing we say. That factor that the whole country is getting up, and then the home support the Brazilian have will tend to want to be an edge in that game. But somewhere the land, if we talk about the way the game has been played so far, the way Colombia played, the way Brazil played, to be honest, Colombia will go through.
Okay, I hope the Brazilians who are listening will let us know. Let me come to you.
Luis Felipe Scolari hit the nail on the head when he said they were lucky to be in the quarterfinals, and that if they didn't raise their game, they will be punished. The team to punish them will be Colombia. My only fear is, will Colombia play with freedom that they've been playing with all this while? Because this is the first time they are meeting Brazil on Brazilian soil in this tournament, and with the kind of massive home support. You could even see from the way they render the national anthem. It's a national team. The pull, the weight. So will Colombia be able to play with the kind of freedom we know? If they do that, I tell you they will be Brazil. But if they don't, because the only reason why Mexico are not in this quarterfinal today is because they show too much respect to a very wintry, a very tired Netherlands. If they are dared to
we'll come to that later, but just pick a team now. Who do you think will come through after making your analysis, after looking at...
I told you, if Colombia could play with freedom, I see Colombia in the semi-finals. But if they don't, Brazil will be in the semi.
But you've not said anything. You're still sitting on the fence.
I'm not sitting on the
pick
fence.
one team, Kazim. He's picked Colombia. Pick one team.
I will go with Brazil. If you want me to pick by all means, I will go with Brazil. I believe they will still bundle over the line to get to that semi-finals.
Okay.
After which, I don't know what will happen to them.
Okay, you've heard our analyst in the studio, the quarterfinal match between Brazil and Colombia. Who do you think will go through? Cousin thinks it's Brazil, reluctantly so, while Julius feels Colombia have more than enough in the tank to see off Brazil. Join the debate below. Let us know what you think. Who do you think will go through in the Brazil-Colombia quarterfinal game? This is the Big League Soccer World Cup edition. Let us know what you think. We'll take a break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. It's still Big League Soccer World Cup edition. We've talked about the first quarterfinal pairing between Brazil and Colombia. The other second round game that took place over the weekend was the match between the Netherlands and Mexico, and Costa Rica defeating Greece on penalties by 5-3. Gentlemen, the Netherlands against Mexico was a very contentious game. It was a bit low on action initially, but once Mexico scored, it became a totally different game entirely. Arjen Robben played a key part in it as well, a debatable penalty. Mexico will feel hard done by, but let me start by asking you, gentlemen, was that a penalty?
In my opinion, it wasn't a penalty because the rule says a referee has to be 100% certain that it was a foul. It's not just about contact. The contact must be big enough to upend or to impede the attacker before you say it was a foul. I mean, it's a foul, then you give a penalty if it happens in the 18-yard box.
No, sorry. Could you explain that? I mean, we've seen small, little contacts that have been deemed as fouls.
That doesn't mean
some that were
they are right.
Clearly well hit.
I've just told you what the
but
rule
not
says.
Penalties.
What the rule says. Although the rule ends it by saying, in the opinion of the referee. But for me, I'm sure, 100% sure that referee guessed, and he gave it, maybe thinking, I've denied this guy 2 penalty kicks. Hey, if you are not sure 10 times, you don't give it 10 times. If you are sure 10 times, you give it 10 times. And Arjen Robben, with his reputation, if I were the referee, I would have to be absolutely certain that there was enough contact to have, awarded him a penalty, because we know he dives. Even he admitted afterward in a post-match interview that he dived in the first half to win a penalty. By and large, honestly, you can't take anything away from Holland, because that match was for Mexico to take. If only they had the pedigree, the temperament. You play in a very hot weather that Holland were visibly struggling, and then the talent showed, because, Arjen Robben reminded me of Felix Olabi of 3SC. When 3SC were struggling, Olabi will always struggle to get to that penalty, whether rightly or wrongly. You need such players. Such players will have, they come into the party when you need them most, and that's exactly what Arjen Robben did. So you have to give Holland the credit. They raised their game immediately, they considered it.
But you're saying, was it a penalty or not?
I keep saying it wasn't a penalty,
okay. But
you can't begrudge the Dutch that they got it anyway. It was the referee's call. Okay. The referee called it a penalty, so be it. Mexico will have to blame themselves, because they had the chance to win that game. They became conservative, immediately they scored. They went back like 50 yards. Defending a one-goal lead. It reminded me of Nigeria at USA 94 against Italy in weltering heat, sweating heat. We had everything going for us. Just try and score the second goal. What happened? Nobody will score the goal. West Half, we had injuries, and he started substituting conservative players, defensively minded players, trying to defend the one goal. And what happened? 88 minutes, Robert Baggio scored an equalizer. Extra time, penalty. Nigeria were out. Exactly what happened to Mexico yesterday. Only that this one didn't enter extra time. Thankfully for viewers, because I was praying by that this match should not get into extra time.
Julius, do you think it was a penalty?
Well, it wasn't, but no matter what we say right now, it won't change anything. It wasn't, in my opinion, it wasn't. It was soft, and the referee should have thought twice before giving that. But what can we do? It happens in football.
But Mexico, they've been complaining serially about how the referee was giving many of the calls in the favor of the Dutch. Yeah. So I want to ask you, gentlemen, refereeing has been a big issue in this competition. But do you think, by and large, how would you rate how would you score the officiating over 10? Let me start with you.
I'll give them 7 over 10. Yes, we've had occasions, maybe few occasions when you could say yes, officiating was not to scratch, like in the opening match. Okay, I mean that was very, very clear cut. It was like that referee was told Brazil must win that match. Except that one or two questionable calls out of over 50 matches shouldn't, rate the referee slow. So in my opinion, I will give them 7/10.
Julius?
I've got them 5.
5.
Over 10.
Why?
And it's a bit because they played so much part in some of the games, and I don't think that should be. And at the standard we are, he mentioned the first game. That one should be scrapped. I think that game should be replayed if it's possible, so that we could, watch a good football. But after that, what do you do? Because they will still claim they are human. They still do make errors. But I feel at this stage there are things that when the referee does take some action, there should be a way to revert it, but you can't do that. But so, in my opinion,
but with the kind of goal line technology, it has improved the debate of whether the goals are scored.
Yeah,
so are you probably
that has helped?
Yeah, are you
in that area?
Are you suggesting that maybe we should now have some kind of technology that chooses who is offside and who is not, who has been fouled and who hasn't been fouled?
No, that's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm saying is that, see, I don't know the role of the third man on the line.
That's the fourth official.
Yes, I don't know their roles, but come on now. They are sitting and watching. Sometimes they said, okay, it's too difficult for the referee to make some call because it's going to be fast. He can't keep his view. Like he was telling me off camera that the referee has to keep his view on the ball. So what happened off the ball? He doesn't say. I said, okay, it's right to say that. It could be true. But come on now, what about the fourth man? What's his own job? Is it still viewing the same
he has television in front of him anyway.
He should be able. I mean, there should be a way. Maybe a beep because I don't know something to like. Oh, that's a foul. Something somebody does.
Doesn't know something to say?
Yes. We should give FIFA some credit here. They have tested goal line technology after so many debates, and it's worked fine. And I know they are also toying with the idea of allowing managers, that's coaches now, one or two calls, to challenge the referee's decision. They will still, that will be done in future. I'm very, very sure. And when that is done, it means we'll now revert to video evidence.
Something like
which
that,
means
currently done in
yes, which means the fourth official becomes very, very important as well, because he sees everything because he has television in front of him. But FIFA has, for whatever reason known to them, banned use of video evidence. Okay, so but Blatter came out before the kickoff of this tournament to say they are seriously considering allowing coaches one or two challenges like it is done in lawn tennis for coaches now to come and say, ref, no, this should have been offside. It's not a goal.
Oh, this was not a penalty.
It wasn't. Yeah.
The same thing.
But that would be a big problem.
It won't be if you are given. Well, it won't be. If you are given just one call per half, that means two calls in. You may not even have any reason to make a call, but the Mexican will have will make that call against Arjen Robben, and the whole world will see through video evidence whether
the same way Cote d'Ivoire also challenged Greece's penalty as well. But moving on to the other second round game play, that was Costa Rica against Greece. Gentlemen, a lot of people have said that probably Costa Rica have been the most surprising team
in
this competition so far. Against all odds, they finished top in a group
when everybody expected them to be beaten
that had three
black and blue
former world champions. They've now gone further than they have ever gone before at the World Cup. And only their third appearance.
Yeah.
And who says that maybe the fairy tale might end here, Kazim?
You see, for me, and I think to a lot of Costa Ricans, they have won the World Cup. Reason being that going to the finals, nobody expected them to win a single point in their group. They were expected to be beaten by Uruguay, England, and Italy. But they just didn't win points. They ended up topping that group by some margin, 7 points to 4. Okay? And now they are in the quarterfinals. God help them. If they play well, who says they can't shock Netherlands to reach the semi-finals? So the party continues. For me, they have been the dark horses of this tournament. It just reminds us of Korea, only that Koreans did it on home soil. Yeah. But they were the dark horses. Korea and Turkey, 2002. Nobody expected to go that far. They went as far as them semi-finals. Costa Rica, hey, they are also on the verge of reaching the semi-finals.
Okay, what about Greece? Former European champions, they also have plenty of grit as well. Despite the fact that they were trailing that game for enormous periods of time, they were also helped by a sending-off on the part of the Costa Ricans. They could feel that they could have won this game if they had taken many of their chances. Even in extra time, they had good chances. as well to have won
Today,
the game.
we know everything about Greece. Their major problem is inability to score. They could be very, very organized, but they are not clinical. All the matches they've won at big international competitions, they won by a goal. 2-1, 1-0. Okay? So that is the story of the Greeks. They don't score in tons. And that is why yesterday they couldn't do it. They created chances, yet they couldn't take them. And they overachieved because in the first place, nobody expected them to qualify. From that group, you had Cote d'Ivoire, you had Colombia, and you had Japan. Any of these three teams will ordinarily rate higher than Greece, in spite of being the fact that they were former European champions. So the fact that they made it to second round alone was good enough, and they will go home with their heads held high.
Well, they might disagree with that anyway. I think
they were not robbed.
Julius has a contrary.
I think I disagree in the last submission that they should go with their head high because come on, they play most of the second half with a man down. I expect them to take that game because they had a +1 more than the Costa Rica. So I expected them to kill that game off. I was shocked when they went all the way to penalties. And when you have said they had problem of scoring goal, I just think that's what came up again. Because to be honest, there was so much close call that the goalkeeper has to use his toes sometimes to just flip the ball away. So, but if they were a good side, they should have won that game.
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't score goals.
Gentlemen, I think the stage is set for that quarterfinal pairing. Netherlands against Costa Rica. Who goes through? Let me start with you, Kasim. No sitting on the fence.
I will go for Netherlands this time around because for them to have survived the Mexico scare in the heat, they managed the heat and they survived. There can't be a bigger test to them in this World Cup again than that. For them to survive that, I think they will survive Costa Rica.
But what about Costa Rica? They have continued to
surprise us.
Everyone. What makes you think they can't even
I believe that will come to an end sometime, and I believe this is the time.
Okay.
Because the Dutch team I'm looking at, you have to give them more respect after what they did against Mexico. They shouldn't win that match, but they did. And that's a sign of a very, very good team. Unlike Brazil, who kept struggling. Yes, the Dutch struggled, but you could still see it's not about Neymar. If Van Persie didn't perform, they have Arjen Robben. If Robben doesn't perform, they have Schneider. So that is the difference between the Netherlands and Brazil, in my opinion.
Julius?
I think straight away, I think on paper Netherlands should qualify. But if what happened yesterday happens again, which is that we have high humidity there, and there is heat. The Costa Ricans, I think something we just say, you know what, these guys, they've survived so much, because just like the Holland side survived yesterday, you understand, the Costa Ricans too, they came from a man down to win that game.
So, but they were leading. They scored first.
But I'm just saying, with a man down, with the large part of the second half, and they were able to come through, so they themselves still have a chance
against Greece.
Well, I think Holland will go through.
Okay. Well, you've heard from our two analysts in the studio. This was our preview of the first set of quarterfinals. It will be Brazil taking on Colombia and the Netherlands taking on Costa Rica. So join in the debate. Who do you think will go through? Our analysts in the studio here have chosen. Let us know what you think. Please send your comments. Type them in below, and do not forget to subscribe. This has been the Big League Soccer World Cup edition, the preview of the upcoming quarterfinals. Join us for another fresh package very soon.